Welcome to Get Over It, the consciousness transforming podcast for exceptional 21st century living. We've got a dream show today. We're going to be speaking with Serge Kahili King, Dr. Serge Kahili King, I should say, and we're talking about his book, Dream Techniques, Working with Night Dreams, Daydreams, and Liminal Dreams. It's going to be a very interesting show. This isn't your, get the dream book and look up the meaning type of show. Okay, goes much deeper than that. And we're going to even, delve into daydreams, which I really haven't done before, but he has a very interesting take on it. Now, the information shared on Get Over It uses intuitive and pragmatic insight to help you shift your consciousness to break through blocks and release energy that is no longer needed. Yes, we're going to help you let go of the BS that's been holding you back. But you guys know I always ask that question, are you truly ready to? And by the way, folks, BS is belief system. A bit about me for my new listeners, intuitive since birth. I'm a third-generation intuitive with over 3 decades of experience supporting people to break through the blocks along their path. I'm a strategist for personal and professional transformation, revealing cutting-edge information that enables you to prosper and thrive. I spent 25 successful years in corporate America as an executive sales professional, and I'm the founder of Healing Visions Ministries and the Northern California Children's Education Network, a 501c3 nonprofit. I also authored 2 books. I provide consultations and healings in all areas of life that heal the mind-body-spirit connection, allowing you to live your very best life. My clients tell me that I keep it real while providing them with accurate information to assist them along their journey as a spirit living a human existence. But they also say, if you really don't want to know, don't ask, Monique. My background includes a doctorate in metaphysics, Reiki master teacher, ordained minister, and clinical hypnotherapist. So whether you are stressed, depressed, or possessed, I can help. To find out more about me and the services I offer, go to my website, and that's MoniqueChapman.com. And I invite you to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter and LinkedIn. Dreams can change our lives in profound and tangible ways. My guest today, Serge Kahili King, PhD, is the author of many works on Huna and Hawaiian shamanism, including urban shaman and instant healing. He has a doctorate in psychology and was trained in shamanism by the Kahili family of Kauai, and as well as by African and Mongolian shamans. He is the executive director of Huna International, a nonprofit worldwide network of individuals who have dedicated themselves to making the world a better place. He lives on the Big Island of Hawaii, and you can check him out at his website, and that is huna.net. Again, HUNA.net. Welcome, Serge.
Thank you.
Hey, it's so great to have you on. What a fantastic book. I like your take on the book. Not only is it just, the night dream that so many people think about and or fear, you cover also what's happening during the day. But let's start out with one thing that your publicist had actually sent over, and I found it quite interesting. She said that, of course, your book covers dreams that we have at night, but it goes much further into detail into the depth with dreams of daytime and their deeper forms of conscious dreaming, and the serious proposition that all of waking life appears to have characteristics that we ordinarily supply dreams of the night, that we think happens at the night. So why is it that our dreams affect us so much, so clearly, so profoundly?
Well, because they're part of our life. Roughly speaking, for most people, it takes up about a third. So, it's kind of silly to ignore it. Naturally, it does affect us.
Uh-huh. It's interesting because so many people say, geez, I don't remember my dreams. I never dream, and I think the never dream is a misnomer because I think everybody dreams. You might not be conscious of it.
Right.
Yeah. But what do you say to the person who's like, oh, I don't remember dreams. They just come and go.
Well, that's because people don't remember a lot of things that are not interesting or important to them. For instance, when I have my workshops, I will ask people, okay, let's look at your life. Let's look at your daily life. Okay, can you tell me what you had for lunch 2 weeks ago Tuesday?
No.
And 9 times out of 10, they cannot, unless it's been a very exciting lunch. Otherwise, it doesn't exist. We have trouble remembering details of things yesterday. So if something is not important, it just slips right by your consciousness and is not a significant part of your memory. So it's not unusual that if people don't think dreams are important, they're not going to remember them very well.
Okay, so the more important you think they are, the better opportunity to keep the dreams in the forefront of your mind. Is that what you're saying?
Well, you don't have to have them at the forefront, but easily accessible in terms of memory.
Okay. All right, well, let's jump into it. This book is very different, as I have shared with the listeners. Why this book? Why now? And what's different from the 10,000 other dream books that are out there?
One thing is that it's not all about interpretation. Now, interpretation, many people enjoy that or think that's the only thing there is to do about it. It is one of the most ancient ways of dealing with dreams, far back as we can find in history. Among all the civilizations, interpretation was always considered very important. But what I'm writing about is consciousness and the nature of our reality. And it has, as I've written, so many characteristics that are just like dreaming. So the book is about night dreams. It has one significant chapter. The most significant is how to heal nightmares, which is an amazingly simple method that saves people an awful lot of time and money. And but I also, like mentioned also, I start dealing with daydreams and the nature of them. Now, we have a curious thing about daydreams. In our society, it's like, on the one hand, we say, stop daydreaming, don't do that. And on the other hand, we say, live your dreams. There's a conflict here.
Right.
But daydreams are natural to human beings, starting off with children, okay? Because we dream things into being. I can remember when I was a child, why we would have games of cowboys and Indians, and we would have absolutely no horses and no Indians and no guns, but we had them. We had them with our imagination, and we interacted with each other as if those were real things that we had and were riding and doing things. So that's a simple thing. Children develop imaginary friends, but then we start thinking more. When we have hopes and wishes, those are daydreams. When we do speculating and planning, we have to daydream. Inventing and building, okay. Athletics today, especially, they've discovered that imagining your play before you do it greatly increases the effectiveness. And then we have artists and composers. They're daydreaming all the time. Fiction writers are probably the masters of it. And when you're producing a movie, all the people involved in the actual planning and everything of the movie have to daydream it. And then one of the most ancient techniques that involves daydreaming is storytelling. And that's why in many societies, early societies, the storytellers, the bards and so forth, were considered magical because they could use words to create images in your mind. Or even if they were really good, you can see it outside of you, the giants and the witches and the beauty and all that kind of stuff. And this is all daydreaming. It's natural to us. We do it all the time.
It's interesting when you bring it up in that context. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, it makes complete sense, but most of us don't think about it in that way because, going back to what you said, in the good old days, if you were caught daydreaming, you were basically punished. I mean,
Yes,
how dare you daydream? I know that happened to me in 6th grade during history class.
Yeah,
so
me too.
I remember that clearly. So I'm like, yeah. Okay, so let's talk about nightmares for a moment because that's when people do, quote, remember their dreams, even those people who say they don't, they tend to remember the nightmare.
Sure.
What is the nightmare? And I actually, before you answer that question, I actually had a nightmare not too long ago, and I want to share this with the audience and with you and get your thoughts on it. Now, at the time, there were 3 dogs living in my house. 2 have moved out with their prospective owners, thank the Lord, and so I still have my one at home. And I had this dream, the one that's home was here. I had this dream that the other 2, I heard this noise in the dream. I got up to go to the front door. The other 2 dogs that didn't live here were scratching at the front door trying to get in, and my precious girl was coming. She was in the street, very unusual for her, and coming around the side of a car, and the car happened to be a car in the neighborhood that never comes down this way, and her mouth looked weird, and I just instantly woke up because I didn't want to hear, see, feel that my dog got hit by a car or died.
Right.
So in going through all of that, was I seeing something that's going to happen in the future, or was it just, crazy things going on in my mind and this is how it manifested?
Well, not crazy things going on in your mind. There's 2 aspects here. One is about the future, which we can talk about, and the other one is just nightmares that are the essential element of a nightmare is helplessness. Mm. And so this is what usually jerks people out of their sleep, and because it's fearful. Mm-hmm. And when you feel unable to do something that looks like impending doom. Now, as far as let's look at the precognitive aspect of it. Humans, whether they like to admit it or not, we do have an ability to be aware of existing patterns. Mm-hmm. And we have the ability, consciously and unconsciously, to project those patterns into a possibility or a probability. Mm-hmm. And so we're not looking into the future. I have a very strong, after a lot of research, very strong opinion that there is no future. Okay. But there are things that exist in the present moment that could lead to a particular future event.
Okay.
And in helping people with these, what I usually do, and this will have to do with the nightmare part, but in the precognitive dream, if they like it, great. Dream it, think about it again and put some energy into it. But if they don't like it, regardless of whether it's about them or a pet or a friend or a child, you take that because right now it's a memory. Mm-hmm. Or it could be colored an expectation, but they're essentially the same thing. It's in your mind now. And then you change the story. Now, I've done this, and I've taught other people how to do it. We've had such amazing experiences where something similar to the nightmare occurs, mm-hmm. but because of the change that a person made, it turns out differently. Okay. One experience, just briefly, is a woman who dreamed that her child fell out of a tree and broke his leg. Oh, she was all upset. Mm-hmm. So I had her recall the dream and change it, and so that it turned out okay. And what she did was she recalled the situation, saw the child falling, and put a mattress under him. And well, that made her feel good. Mm-hmm. A couple weeks later, she was in a park and she heard a scream and looked over and saw her son falling out of a tree limb. Oh, no. And rushed over there. There was no mattress, but the kid just, dusted himself off, stood up and laughed and walked away.
Okay, so she protected her baby by paying attention to her nightmare.
Yes.
Wow, how powerful.
Very powerful. And the same occurs with, nightmares of personal potential injury or danger. It's a memory. Mm-hmm. Once you have it, it's a memory. The thing does not exist anymore. So take that memory, change the memory into something more positive. Well, there's several ways to do it. One is purposely change it. Another one is to stop and change your behavior in the dream. And then a third one is to sit there and allow it to continue. Now, the curious thing is, if you allow it to continue, no matter how bad it seems, it will turn out good.
Really?
But, yeah, it will. But, a lot of people don't like to go through the process of having that happen. So I'll give you a little example, an example of one of mine when I was a teenager in school. And I was a freshman and just high school, just learning how to deal with life. And we had bullies. And so I had a dream in which two of the bullies were chasing me down a street and down some stairs and into a restaurant when nobody was there. And I hid under a table, and they came down and found me and beat me up. And when they started to beat me up is when I woke up feeling all upset. Now, my father taught me this about changing the story. And so I went through the dream, down the street, down the stairs. There they are. I hide under a table. And then when they come down the stairs, I jump out from under the table, throw the table away, walk over to them, grab them by the back of their necks, knock their heads together, and throw them out into the street. Then I turned the table back, sat down, and had a beer. Yeah, well, I shouldn't have had a beer. I was too young. But nevertheless, boy, did that help me feel good. And the effect was, without trying to do anything else, I was never bullied again.
Okay, I've got to share something with you right now, which is just kind of weird, and I live on the weird side of the world, so to speak. As you were sharing that story, and I don't believe that we've met before or have spoken before today, but as you were sharing that story, I knew exactly where you were going to go. It's like I'd heard that story before. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
I wonder on some level if we connected in dreamland and I just didn't recognize it yet or remember. That is like, wow. Okay, so let me ask another question regarding the daydream and then changing the story. So like the lady with the kid who fell out of the tree and, the kid got up and basically walked away. Is at that moment when the mom saw the kid falling or you or going with, the people beating you up, when you were in that situation, was it a deja vu type situation, especially for the mom when she saw the kid falling, but she knew the outcome was going to be different because she had changed the outcome in her mind?
Actually, no, because she was fully in the present moment concerned about her child. It was only until after she saw him get up that she remembered what she had done.
Ah, okay. Wow. Wow, quite fascinating. In addition to the nightmare, you talk about something in the book that I found quite interesting. And where did I put that note? It was the night marchers. Tell us about the night marchers, because I was unfamiliar with them until I read your book.
Okay. This happens in different places of the world, but the ones they're called the night marchers. It's a Hawaiian phenomenon. And it's like a daydream because different people, doesn't matter. They don't have to be Hawaiian. They can be visitors or they can be long-term residents. Doesn't matter. There is a phenomenon that occurs sometimes where a person, one or more, can see at the same time. They will see. They will either hear or both hear and see a line of ancient Hawaiians. Coming out of sometimes coming out of the sea, sometimes coming out of a hill, or just suddenly appearing, marching along. There'll be a trumpeter usually in the front. They used a conch shell as a trumpet in those days. And there'll be warriors, and they are protecting a chief who is coming along after them. And the typical way, people can hear the sounds, they can hear the walking, they can hear the voices, they can hear the trumpet. And when they see it all, why, then it's even more amazing. And some friends told me they saw this troop coming out of the ocean and walking into a cliff and disappearing because things have changed since the days when those people were alive. Mm-hmm. So they see this and hear it. And it sounds like a very strange phenomenon, but then when we start to look at other areas of the world, wow, we discover that this is not uncommon. There are still people who go to Gettysburg and can hear the battles, and mm-hmm. some of them see it. And it's usually, only for a short period of time, but for some it's very frightening, for some it's fascinating. Mm-hmm. And we find these kinds of things very similar all over the world where people have these experiences. So it's something that happens. I have a hypothesis. I have to call it a hypothesis because there's no way to prove it. But my hypothesis is that the land, let's put it that way, can also retain memories of events. Mm-hmm. And a particular person in a particular state of mind and emotions may be able to, let's call it, tune into that for some reason or another. And so that what they're seeing is an event that happened before at that place. That's how I think it happens.
Okay. Well, that makes perfect sense to me in my world. And I think it makes perfect sense to all of my listeners, too. Folks, we're speaking with Serge Kahili King, PhD. We're talking about his book, Dreaming Techniques, Working with Night Dreams, Daydreams, and Liminal Dreams. And you can check him out at his website, and that is huna.net. Again, that is huna.net. Serge, let's jump into the next step. Lucid dreaming. What is it, and why, and how do we do it?
Okay. What's called lucid dreaming is where you have some sense of awareness in some way while you are dreaming and fully dreaming. Now, I have divided this up into 4 degrees of lucidity. Different psychologists have their own ideas, but these are mine. One, I call it lucid. Lucid 1 is when you are aware of who you are in the dream. You might be called by name, you might see your name, or you just know you are who you are in waking life. And that's lucid, because you can also have dreams in which you are somebody else. I had my first dream actually just a week ago, as being a bird, taking care of my offspring. And now I've had dreams of being animals before, but that was the first one as a bird.
Okay.
So, and I have been other kinds of roles in many ways, and so do other people. So lucidity 1 is when you are who you are. Lucid 2 would be when you consciously change events, make decisions so that things turn out differently in the dream. Now you may or may not have self-identity at that point, but you have this conscious ability to make decisions and modify events. Mm-hmm. That's lucid, because you're not just going along with everything that's happening. And then lucid 3, I call, is a recognition that the dream is an illusion. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean you do anything about it, but you know that, hey, this isn't real, but you might still continue to experience it. Mm-hmm. And then finally, lucid 4 is where I say the awareness of dreaming and consciously changing something both. This is a dream, and I'm going to change it. This is actually a process, the aim of something called dream yoga, where Tibetan practitioners are famous for this. They go through this for a particular purpose, to reach a higher state of consciousness in their system. But this is what they practice doing: being in the dream, recognizing it as a dream, and then doing something to change the dream.
Mm-hmm.
So they even use some daydreaming techniques for doing that as well. So that's what I call lucid. Now, lucid training, doing it, you do it just like the Tibetans do, to do it practically. You enter into a state of closed eye consciousness, create a scene or an experience with your imagination, and then consciously, knowing it's your imagination, consciously doing something to change it. One of the well-known ways of doing this is to imagine a tree that's burning and then going over and putting out the fire with your hands. So without getting burned. Okay. So you practice with your imagination, and then with enough practice, you're able to go into lucid dreamings. Now, it's very interesting that in studies that have been done, they've shown that some of the most, most abundant lucid dreamers are video game players.
Really?
And what are they doing? They are in this game, and they realize it's an illusion, but they are playing it, and they are making conscious decisions to change events. So they're getting all this practice. And it turns out that they seem to have a great many lucid dreams in the actual dreaming state.
Fascinating, because most parents are saying, "Put that video game down."
I know.
And the kids are actually, honing in on lucid dreaming. Can you imagine if they are aware of that and aware of your book and the knowledge that's contained within the book, how these kids or even young adults could affect positive change on our earth today? Now, you said earlier that if, we think it, that's a dream, right? That's a daydream if we're constantly thinking about something. If we as a country, I'm just going to pick on the United States right now, had a majority of people who dreamt peace, love, I'm not trying to be a hippie thing, but, a better energy for the United States, a better energy for the world, could we truly affect that to happen?
Well, yes and no. And the reason I say that is that in my experience, which is quite a long one, the broader your focus, the less effect you have. It's far better to, as far as being effective, pick something specific, more specific. And then you can even, there are even tools that can be used to help you keep that focus. So you pick something really specific. Like, for instance, right now with the people that I've trained, and what we're doing is focusing on a peaceful transition. That's a specific event at a specific time that's easy to focus on. And so, because if you try to take the whole country with everybody in it and all the different ways that people have of thinking what is good and what is not, you're scattering the energy.
That's too much. Okay.
Yeah, so pick something specific and work on that.
Okay. So when you pick that specific thing and you're working on it, do you have to have some type of critical mass, or is the focus just enough?
Well, of course, it's easier when you are focusing. You are actually drawing in all the people who want that to happen, but aren't necessarily doing what you're doing about it. Okay, so you're kind of focusing and energizing an existing field of intention.
Okay, so I want to switch gears for a moment and talk about dreaming in Technicolor or black and white. I noticed when I was a child, my dreams tended to be in black and white. In fact, I had one horrific dream that reoccurred at least 3 times a month for 5 years. Finally, I was able to release that. How, I don't know, but it's gone, and I'm grateful. After the age of 12, my dreams tend to be in color. Is there any main difference as to why they're in color or black and white?
I haven't found any major difference. We look at things differently sometimes, that's all. Most of mine are in color, but Sometimes they're black and white. Sometimes they're actually in cartoon characters.
So really?
It can be. Oh, yeah, that's really funny. So there's different ways in which we can look at things consciously or unconsciously. So I haven't found any significant difference in color or not color.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that, because some people have said in the past, oh, it's this, it's that, and I'm like, hey, I don't know. I don't think so. But, we get to pick and choose what we want to pick and choose. Now, another subtitle in your book, Liminal Dreams. What's that?
Well, the name was decided by the publisher, which is okay with me. I hadn't thought of it in those terms. Liminal means on the border. And so these are like visions that people have right out here in the world. And I did mention the thing about seeing like the Battle of Gettysburg or the Night Marchers, for instance. That would fall into it. But so do a lot of different things. And so do a lot of things that are very, very real and physically but shouldn't be. This is, comes from a lot of different ways of looking at life, okay? So we have all these things that are called the hallucination experience for most of our scientific community. But, there are other forms of thinking around the world. For instance, in Taoism, start off with the idea that life comes from our imagination. Buddhism basically says life is a dream. Shamans believe that dreams are simply world experiences, and this is one of them. So there's a little bit different ways of interpreting what's happening. So when we're looking at things, the other really strange, when we're getting beyond these things that seem to be only one person can see them and another can't, then we get into some real strange things that happen in this world. Strange things that happen in the sky that everybody sees.
Like frogs.
I can remember the earliest. Like what?
Like frogs. You had in your book, frogs falling from the sky.
Oh, that's right. Frogs fall from the sky. Ice. I mean, huge chunks of ice fall from a clear sky. No planes, nothing around. Bam. We get pollen coming from 7,000 miles away, causing red rain. It's just amazing. I think in the book I mentioned my experience as a child and during the Second World War in Los Angeles, where my father and I were heading toward San Diego, and all these people were stopped, and we looked up in the sky, and it was there. There was this city way up in the clouds. It didn't follow any of the rules of a mirage. And all the people were looking at it. And, of course, they came out and said, well, this was actually San Diego. The problem was San Diego didn't have buildings like that in those days. Nobody knows what we were seeing, where it was from, but it was there for a while. It lasted about an hour or so. And these kinds of things happen. And then, like I said, the very specific things happen. And then there are phantom villages that occur around the world. And even in Hawaii, there's a newspaper report from the 1800s of a whole family that went to one part of Kauai that was known to have this village that appeared from time to time. And they saw the whole thing, and people walking around and everything like that. And they gave their testimony. I think it was, I can't remember, between 10 and 20 people who gave their testimony that they actually saw this. So these really strange things happen that indicate possibly, that this world, this daylight, daydream, day experience that we have is pretty dreamlike in a lot of ways. And then, of course, around the world, forever and ever, fairy tales, ghosts, phantom armies. It's a strange world we live in.
Yes, it is. But, you shared a story in your book about being in the car. You were, if I remember correctly, you were leaving your girlfriend's going home, and you made a right-hand turn,
yes.
And that took you someplace else. Could you share that? Explain
sure.
It to the audience?
This was late at night. This has happened several times to me, but this happens to a lot of people as well. And there's no currently physical explanation for it. But it was late at night. I was coming home from, like you said, seeing the girl who became my wife, actually. And turned the corner, and I was heading down a road called Plymouth Road in Michigan, which at that time was a winding road. And the place I was heading for was where I was living, 10 miles away, a small town. And I'll remember turning the corner and then instantly coming over the railroad tracks that were just outside of that town, 10 miles further down the road. Now, there's no way that I could have been asleep and do that because it was a twisty, curving road. But it was an instant transition. I turned the corner and I was in the town. And, it was the bumping of the railroad tracks that woke me up. Or brought me back into full awareness. But I have no sense of anything on that trip. And this has happened to me more than once. And this happens to other people. And you can also check sometimes. I didn't do it at that time. But sometimes you can check on the time. And the time passes in a way, by the clocks we use, that say it's impossible that what you did could have happened in that time period. So the point is, it's a weird, weird world.
It is a very weird, weird world, but it's a wonderfully weird world most days.
Yeah.
You had shared that. I remember when I was, 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there, going someplace with my parents, and we were stuck in traffic. I remember we were on Madison Avenue in Lark. We're at that intersection. And the traffic is horrendous. It's just stopped. And my father, being the impatient man that he was, he's yelling and screaming for the traffic to move. And I'm in the back seat of a station wagon with the back seat facing, backwards out. And there's this little white car behind us. And this little white car, all of a sudden, nobody believes me to this day, but this little white car all of a sudden grew wings like DeLorean doors and took off and left. And I was like, okay, I'm seeing that? Was it for real? Was it a dream? And I got no response from my parents at all when I shared that with them. They just gave me a look.
Yeah,
and shook
right.
their head. So could that have been some type of waking dream state that I wanted,
it must have been.
Traffic to go?
When you say waking dream, yeah, right. It's something that happened when you were awake. But I found a very interesting thing. There are different ways that we can modify this waking reality with intention. People give it the general name manifesting, but this can happen with or without our conscious intent. But some of the strange things that happen, I might have written about this one, but I was going on vacation to Europe, and I had some jewelry at my home, and so I put it in a box and put it in my library on a shelf. And the box was, nothing anybody would think was important. And when I came home, the box wasn't there. All my great jewelry couldn't find it anywhere. Searched the house for over a year. Every once in a while, I just get this urge, it's got to be someplace. Nowhere. And this happens frequently. I had an urge one day to go into the library for something, not related to that at all. Walk into the library, open the door, sitting on the shelf, on a different shelf, say not the same one, on a different shelf is the little box of jewelry. So, yeah, these are the really strange things that often people don't like to talk about when something like that happens in this physical world that ought to happen.
Yeah. Well, coming from a metaphysical standpoint, it could be a spirit came in and moved it because it needed to be moved.
That's one explanation. And any explanation, you can have them. But then it's like I said, we get into that concept of hypothesis. Okay, this is how it might have happened. But the fact is it happened, and we really, really don't know how or why.
Yeah.
At this point.
Okay, well, talk to us a bit, because you cover this in your book, meditation and dreaming, because people don't necessarily see how the two can intersect.
Sure. This is where meditation is a great way to practice, but there are all kinds of different ways of doing that. We have, basically, meditation is sitting down with your eyes closed. Mm-hmm. Now, it's related to a very similar thing to hypnosis. Mm-hmm. Now, hypnosis is, in my opinion, I ran a hypnotherapy institute for about 10 years, and boy, did I learn a lot. And yes. It's like meditation, only it's a Western form of meditation. Typically, what we might call, just general speaking, an Eastern form of meditation is passive. Mm-hmm. And you either, depending on the system you're using, either do something to focus on something greater than yourself. That's very yogic. Mm-hmm. Or you, very Zen-like, you don't focus on anything and try to clear your mind. Mm-hmm. And but hypnosis is simply doing the same thing with your eyes closed, only doing something else. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. Mm-hmm. And in that state of mind, you consciously use or are directed to use imagination to generate an experience. So it's just that the Western form is more active. It's still daydreaming with your eyes closed. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so you can use this. It's a fantastic way to solve problems. Thomas Edison is very famous for doing that. And he had a problem. He was trying to figure out what to do about it. He'd go into a meditation state, which is the same, only not a trance state, but a meditation state where he would have the intention to know something, but didn't put any effort into it. He says this is the intent, and allow things to happen that gave him an answer. And so lots of people, scientists, certain kinds of scientists use this. A lot of people in many kinds of professions will use this as a way to get inspiration.
So they're very, very exciting, and it causes you to think. And I like processes that cause you to truly think instead of just existing on, this lump of energy that we call Earth. It's, in my opinion, it's important to think and be aware. And that's the one thing that your book, Dreaming Techniques, helped me with, and that's becoming more aware of just, not only nighttime dreams, but daytime dreams. Now, when we go to your website, huna.net, what are we going to find there?
All right. Huna.net is actually our store site. Mm-hmm. So you're going to find a list of my books in various formats, and home study courses, and audios and videos, and a number of things like that. There will also be a link to our main site for the organization, Huna International, which is huna.org. There you'll find lots of different things to see and do, including hundreds of articles that our members and others have posted there. All that's free. And on YouTube, what we've done, with the help of one of our staff, I had done a lot of videos over the years, and he has taken them and put them on YouTube. And so there's about currently 156 videos on various topics that people can see. Many of them have to do with healing. A lot of them have to do with Hawaiian culture.
Okay, so folks, huna.net or huna.org. But if you go to huna.net and you click on the freebies link, you will find something that absolutely blew my mind, is that Help Yourself with Dynamine. And this is a very easy but extremely effective healing technique And it's absolutely free, folks. It's a download, 8 pages. Again, freebie. You don't have to pay anything. It's COVID. You got time to work on yourself. So that's something that you might want to consider if you are at all attracted to Serge's work. He offers a lot, and I'm going to explore the huna.org as soon as we are done with this podcast and see what talks to me while I am there. Serge, our time has gone so quickly, and I do appreciate your time today. What pearl of wisdom would you like to leave with our audience today?
Well, I'm going to leave my favorite thing, which I do and which I teach people to do. It's very simple. It's bless the present, trust yourself, and expect the best. To bless the present means to take some time out consciously to appreciate the good in your current environment. Mm-hmm. Not outside, right now, here, present. Bless the present, the good stuff that's here. And this amazingly is a fantastic way to help you relax, regardless of what your problems are. Mm-hmm. The second thing is to trust yourself. Don't doubt yourself. There's no point. It doesn't help you whatsoever at all. Trust yourself to do the best you can. That's all you can do in any situation. Mm-hmm. Don't try to be perfect or don't regret. Just trust you're doing the best you can no matter what. Okay. And if you learn how to do it better, that's a good thing. And then finally, expect the best. Because if you expect the worst, you're going to notice it, you're going to pick it out, and that's what you're going to move toward or attract if you like that idea. Mm-hmm. But if you expect the best, you're going to be more open to opportunities to do the things you want to do to help the people you want to help.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Serge, thank you for being the guest. Thank you very much for writing this book. Folks, this is, like I said, it's a different book on dreaming, okay? It's not your grandma's, look up a cat and see what a cat means and apply that to your life. It's causing you to think. This book is going to raise your consciousness. And again, during this time of COVID, what do you have to do besides work on yourself? Okay, we've got the time. For whatever reason, the universe said this is the time for people to go inward. So, maybe you want to take a listen. Okay, and if dreaming is your thing, do pick up this book. I found it to be very insightful. So, Serge, thank you for being my guest today. The audience, thank you for being with us as we collectively get over it. And please remember you're welcome. Please remember that the most important choice that you can make is what you choose to make important. Consider making the masterful choice of discovering the different dreaming techniques. Abundant blessings, light, and love to all. Agape.